My name is Elaine and I'm 65 years old. For the most part, my mornings were always the same. Quiet, predictable, a soft rhythm of routines that rarely changed. That particular morning started like any other. I was wearing my usual robe, wrapped in the silence of the early hours, the soft clink of my teaspoon stirring honey into tea the only sound. The living room smelled of fresh lavender, something I kept around to remind me of my late husband, Harold. I had long settled into a life of solitude. It wasn't sad, at least not in the way people might expect. It was simply quiet. My daughter had moved abroad years ago, and though we spoke occasionally, I rarely saw her in person. My neighbors were friendly but distant. I had come to accept the soft hush of my home as normal. Then someone knocked on the door. I remember pausing for a moment, uncertain. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, a young woman stood there holding a clipboard and a small box. "Delivery for Ms. Elaine Porter," she said. "I didn't order anything," I replied, puzzled. But the label was correct. It had my name, address, and a short handwritten note attached. "You inspired me. I never forgot. L." My hands trembled slightly as I opened the box. Inside was a single hardcover book, an old copy of The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and a small, dried lavender bundle. I sat down slowly, overwhelmed by a mix of confusion and emotion. That name, the initial L, tickled a part of my memory I hadn't visited in decades. And then it hit me. 39 years ago, I was a literature teacher at a small college. It had been a brief chapter in my life, just 5 years before Harold's transfer took us to another state. I had taught hundreds of students, but there was one I never forgot. Lena. She was shy, brilliant but withdrawn. She always stayed after class, not to talk but to linger, as if she didn't want to leave the space where she felt safe. I had encouraged her, lent her my own copy of The Bell Jar, and scribbled a small note on the inside cover. "You are stronger than you think." I hadn't realized it had meant that much to her. Suddenly, the weight of my years felt lighter. Not because I had done something monumental, but because something I said, something small, had lived on in someone else. That one knock on the door unraveled a flood of memories. I thought about my life differently after that. The next week, I wrote Lena a letter. No phone number, no email address to reply to. Just a handwritten note, the way we once used to communicate. I told her how much her gift meant. How it reminded me that even in silence, even when life feels unnoticed, we still matter to someone. I started walking again in the mornings, around the neighborhood. I even joined the local book club at the library, something I dismissed for years. Felt seen again. Not by the world necessarily, but by myself. We often think that our worth fades with age, that what we've done or said gets lost in the shuffle of time. But that morning taught me something I'll never forget. Even if decades pass, a small kindness can echo forward. And sometimes when you least expect it, life knocks gently at your door, reminding you that your story still matters.